started. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim, Rachach Wadash. Double honor to the elders apostles of the great millstone who rule well and teach well, and who are the true leaders of Israel today. I also like to give double honor to the head and the elder of the Man of Israel camp, the Chazak, whom I teach under down here in Greenville, South Carolina. And I also like to give another shout out to you Israelite foreigners that's looking like the other heathen nations causes confusion, coming back to our heritage in these last days. And also mighty shalom to you sincere Akim, you brothers out there that's pushing this word, this truth and all sincerity and righteousness in these last days. I to y'all like to say shalom. Alright, now coming back through the spirit and power you have by Shem Shine. Alright, with another exhortation video. And Lord willing, the video we found edifying. And I want to do basically a quick hit, going into the history of the Jews and to the Jew first and to the Greek, because you got a lot of Christians, that like to use this particular verse right here, to say they have salvation, and matter of fact, I did a video yesterday, basically going into how Paul only went to the Israelites that was called Greeks or Gentiles. Those Greeks or Gentiles, you want to say, he went to go preach to the actual Greek or Gentile. He went to go preach to the Israelites that was known or was calling themselves Greeks or Gentiles, man, or was just acting like Gentiles or Greeks, But yeah, pretty much, I wanted to do a lesson. It's like your bonehead Jake just booming fucking that crazy ass nigga young boy, it's lucky if you can hear that. But anyway, that ain't nothing but demons, But anyway, like I was saying, man, pretty much like I was saying, Christians, and even you got Israelites, they're starting to use this verse right here to say that the Jews, the Greeks got salvation, which that's a lie. All right, you got to understand the history between the Jew and the Greek. All right, you got to understand that history. You got to understand that our people was in captivity, the Greek captivity, man. So that's why it was saying to the Jew first and then to the Greek. All right, because our people was labeled as Greeks, Our people was labeled as Greeks, Gentiles, man, because they was following the customs. All right, we already know through the scriptures that salvation is only for Israel, man. All right, if you're not an Israelite, salvation don't pertain to you, man. It was another point I was gonna make. It kind of slipped my mind. But anyway, let's read it, and then we're gonna get basically it's a quick hit, pretty much understanding, the Jew and to the Greek. All right. So anyway, it says Romans chapter 1 and verse 16. It says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Hamashiach, for it is the power of Yahweh unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek." Like I said earlier, man, those Greeks are talking about actual Israelites, man. All right, that was in the Greek captivity. Oh, that's what the water you have about Shem, it came back. You gotta understand, you're not gonna read about the Greek captivity in the Bible, man. That's why you gotta get the Apocrypha to get the extra understanding, and I'm gonna prove that as well. It's part of the video. All right, that scripture is what I'm gonna get because that's a part of the video. But that's the captivity, because every captivity is in the Bible. You got the Egypt captivity, you got the Assyrian captivity, you got the Babylonian captivity, you got the Persian Medes captivity, and then when it comes down to the Greek, it's left out, and then it's the Roman captivity, and even America, if you could receive it. You see, so every captivity is in the scriptures, except for what? The Greek captivity, man. You see, because the Greek captivity was heavy, man. That was a heavy captivity for us, man. Especially if you're going into Paul writings, man. You would have to go into the Apocrypha for certain things, man, to get furthermore the edification of the understanding. To get more clarification. Because Paul writings sometimes could be like he said, like Peter said. Sometimes you can wrestle with Paul, writings, man. All right. Because Paul said, one one thing, like right there. He said to the Jew first and then to the Greek. You would be like, hold on. So the Greeks got salvation, but you gotta understand the history. You gotta understand what Paul is saying, actually saying. Just like Yahushua, because you gotta understand Yahushua personally taught Paul. So some things Paul gonna teach like Yahushua, because everybody couldn't receive Yahushua and his understanding, man. The way he broke things down. That's why he said it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them is what? It's not given. Same with Paul, some of his understanding some of his, the way he, said things was just like, hold on, huh? He'll say salvation is for the Israelites, and then one verse he'll say it like this. He'll say it like what? To the Jew first and then to the Greek. So sometimes you gotta actually understand and decipher between what he means, and if it's actually talking about Israelites, or is it actually talking about Gentiles? You see? So they'll try to use this verse to justify, that the Greeks, heathens have salvation, when, like I said, that's a lie. So let's read over here. Let's get Slot. Oh man. Jake just got off the plantation, man. He saw him work, Jake, today, boy. Anyway, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, and verse 2. It says, thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashim Abushah, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. You see that? The Lord said, learn not the way of the heathen. And that's something we did. You see? We learned their works, and then once we learned their works, we was called after them, man. We was acting like them. So since we kept, their ways, their customs, their laws, guess what? We was gonna be like them, man. Just like how Jake do today. Jake in America captivity, we not American, but what? We calling ourselves what? American. And guess what we doing? We following the customs of the Americans. The same thing, they doing the same thing they doing back then, they doing it now. You see? So there's nothing, new under the sun, man. All right. If we was doing it back then, guess what? 9 times out of 10, we're gonna be doing it now, man. So Jake learned the way of the heathen, man, and the heathen had us acting like them. So that's who Paul went to go talk to, man. The ones that was acting like heathens. You see? So let's get that quick history real quick. We're gonna close it out. Like I said, this was just gonna be a quick hit. Alright, basically understanding the Jew and the Greek. So let's get the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1. And we're going to get verse, I believe it's like 40. Alright, yeah, verse 41. And we're going to read down to verse 43. Alright. Book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. You see? So they wanted this new world order back then. They're trying to accomplish it now, but it's gonna fail, of course. But they was even trying to receive, the new world order back then, man. And they still are to this day. So it says, verse 42, and everyone shall leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king. So all the heathens did, right? But let's keep reading. Verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificing to idols and profaned the Sabbaths. You see that? So even the Israelites did that, man. You see? And that's why they was known as Greeks, because they was following after the Greeks and their customs. What did King Antiochus say? That all should be one. He wanted them to all be Greeks, act like Greeks, follow the Greeks' customs. You see, because the Greeks was ruling at that time. So when Paul was saying to the Jew first, then to the Greeks, he was talking about Israelites, man. He wasn't talking about no actual Greeks. For you dummies out there, man. He was talking about Israelites. Now, that's up to you if you can receive it, man. If not, hey, mean, this really all you need. Like I said, it was just a quick hit, man. You know, because the Greeks that Paul went to was the Israelites that was calling themselves Greek, like how Jake calling themselves American when they really Israelites. You know, and that's us calling ourselves by a byword. That's a curse that's written in the book of Deuteronomy. You should be called bywords and proverbs, man. Roughly paraphrasing. You know, these other nations are gonna put their names on us, man. You know. But anyway, man, Lord, when this video was edifying, I'm gonna close with giving all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rechahunash. Double honor to the elders, apostles, the great millstone. Start with elder apostles on down. And double honor to the head and the elders of the man of Israel camp, the Ak Chazak, whom I teach under down here in Greenville, South Carolina. And I also like to give another shout out to you sincere Akim, your brothers out there that's pushing this word in all truth and sincerity. To y'all, like to say shalom.